Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode on the Hermitcraft server. You know where we are right now, this place needs no introduction. And we've got that strange bug with the glass block disappearing again. If I relog that will reappear, but we want to leave this place because it is ever so noisy. All of these portals really do generate a lot of sound, but you can see down here that I have been a little bit busy in between episodes. I've just been finishing off this area around here, and what I want to do is actually finish this whole room area and kind of tidy up some of the last things that need to be done on this farm, because we've actually been spending a lot of time working on this. Now I also want to expand this farm as well and have a little bit of a plan to get some more obsidian. So soon we'll be heading into Hermit Town 1.7. I want to set up a little shop or something like that saying that I'm willing to buy obsidian. But before we do that, I want to show you a couple of things. In fact, there isn't really too much to show because I haven't done too much in between the episodes apart from this little bit around here. So as you can see, we have lava exposed at the top here, and I was AFKing. I actually got nudged out of the farm, which does happen occasionally. If the pigman falls and sort of nudges me when I'm in the minecart and it's slightly behind me, it can actually push me out. And I came back and I was just sitting on a couple of random blocks like this. There was a gap down below. I'd almost died AFK, which would have been really frustrating, and that's because the wall here, it caught on fire. So you can see I've just replaced that with cobblestone, and I think we're going to change up this bottom part so it starts on the outside here. And so what I need to do is just finish building the roof in this area and finish building this wall as well. There really isn't too much to do or explain there at all. Another thing I might do is actually put a item sorter on the top and send gold to one side and rotted flesh and the chicken stuff to the other one. And I've also been thinking about how this looks from the outside. I think what I'd like to do in the long run is just build a shell around this, and I've been thinking a lot about mega structures lately, you know, really big builds where you don't focus on detail, you look for the shape overall. And I saw this as an opportunity to do that. You know, we can build some sort of shell around the obsidian farm, gold farm, it's not an obsidian farm, and some sort of structure that ties it down to the ground, and then that could be a shell around this, so you wouldn't even see the ice and the way that I've set it up. But as of right now, I'm just going to focus on finishing this entrance bit here because that needs to be done. It definitely does. So the room on this side is looking pretty cool now that I've finished it off. We've gone for the gold and the slabs at the top, which looks good. However, you've got one slab on this side and two on the other, so it does kind of look a little bit off. But it does work, and I like how this came together here. I saw, as I was putting in the blocks here, a potential for like a middle column, so I moved that back by one block, and then it just seemed right to put in these slabs around the outside, and now it looks pretty good, and it's pretty much finished off. However, I found something a little bit interesting that must have changed somewhere along the way. So if you put two slabs down like that, you can go through it in a minecart when you come from this direction. However, when you go from the opposite direction, it doesn't let you through, which is a little strange. And I know they did make some changes to that, but it's hard to keep up with all the things that are going on in this game sometimes. So when we go back down, you'll see that the minecart is going to stop dead in its tracks. Now the reason for this, I do believe, is because it's the player that's stopped by this half slab, because when I get out, it just stays there. If I nudge it, it will move. However, if I get inside it, I can't make it move forward, even though I'm pressing forward. So let's try and nudge it. Can we nudge it? No, we can't. Oh, we can nudge it that way though. Very strange. So yeah, blocking the path with half slabs makes it behave a little awkwardly, and I've just realised now that that minecart is going to be stuck down the end, and that can be quite a pain because you have to go up there in another minecart, and then you have to ender pearl through the blocks, the glass ones, to actually get to that minecart, which is going to be a bit annoying. But I'll fix that in a bit. So yeah, right now what I'm doing is I'm taking back all the items to the base because we're pretty much done with building this bit right here. I've actually filled up all of these chests over here with rotted flesh, and I've filled up my ender chest as well with things to take back, and I've even started filling up the rotted flesh on this side as well. All of that right there down into that one, and I've got a little bit more sorting to do because I've been AFK, so all of these are now filled up with stuff as well, but the amount of gold we are getting is just ridiculous. So we've got all of these things in these two chests to take back, and there's actually something else that I want to try here. I remembered it a moment ago. On the other side in the nether, there's going to be a bunch of items down in these hoppers, and I was thinking maybe what we should do is make a item elevator that shoots the drops back through the portal, and then maybe that way they'll drop back into the water streams and then come through the the normal system for the drops, but you can see this thing is always full up whenever I come here. And usually what happens is I take the items out of this one and then more drop in because there's some on top, but not at the moment. Yeah, anyway, so I'm going to take those items back, and then maybe we'll look at building a item elevator to shoot items back through the portal. One other thing I want to comment on, there are always chickens loose, and that's because there is a block missing here. So they come through and they pathfind out of there. You know, that was a mystery to me. Every time I come through here, I'd see like a chicken hanging around, and I'd be like, how on earth do they escape? And now I see it's just because there's a block missing here. So I'll fix that as well, I guess. So I've been doing some testing with sending items from the Nether through the portal so they come back out here in the gold farm, and it isn't going too well. However, I've discovered something that might increase the efficiency of this gold farm. Now if we go around here and just hop inside and have a look down, if we chuck some items onto the water stream here, you'll see that they're going to stop when they get to the end here, and that's because they're not going fast enough to go over the block that doesn't have the water. So if that was replaced with ice, then those items would whiz over there, they'd end up going through the crusher, and they'd end up in our ice stream going all the way up to the base. So some of those pigmen that fall down, and when they die, sometimes I see that their items go through the portal. In fact, that's what happens most of the time. It's like the portal kind of sucks them up because they're right nearby. But on occasion they do fall down here, and I've done a little bit of observing, and I have seen some gold and rotted flesh down there, so we'll be able to increase the efficiency that way a little bit, so those items wouldn't be getting caught here and despawning. But at the same time, my testing with items coming through from the Nether hasn't gone too well. So mostly what I've seen is that the items land on top of the obsidian when they come through, and then they probably just despawn, or they shoot through and go to the portal on the other side, and it's somewhere around here in the middle where they seem to come out. They tend to pick different portals each time, but I've seen some items go through in a loop where I think they're being sent back into the Nether, and then sent into the Otherworld again, and then back into the Nether, but eventually they'll end up on these obsidian blocks and they will despawn, which is unfortunate. And very rarely do I see them actually go down into the water stream, so it seems like maybe it's not a good idea. It's better to collect the items from the Nether than have them despawn. But I'm going to continue testing, and it's very likely we're going to be replacing the blocks under there with ice. So I never planned on being around the gold farm for this long. You know, I've been doing a lot of AFK farming, and when it comes to recording, that's when I get into the mode to play the game and do stuff. And I was planning on going over to Hermit Town 1.7, but here we are. I've still got a few more things to do because I've done some more testing, and I found out basically that when the items come through from the Nether, they don't load the Nether enough for this to work properly. I've just done a little test where I'm sending the items now up into a chest at the top to see how many we get. And before I started the last test, I think we were up to somewhere around here. So we got 2 stacks of rotted flesh and almost a stack of nuggets come through. And all of this stuff in the inventory is stuff that I've picked out of the hoppers down below. Now there are 2 on this side that have half slabs above them, 2 on the back that have half slabs as well. And it's always the ones at the front because that's the way that the items come through the portal. Whenever I come down here and I try to pick stuff up from these hoppers, they're always full straight away, and when I take things out, stacks appear in them straight away, and that's because the stacks of items are on top of them. In fact, is that how it's supposed to work? I just want to do something quickly here now. If I chuck... Oh, perfect timing. No, not quite. We'll have to wait for that to reset, but I'm pretty sure that a hopper sometimes picks up an entire stack if it's floating together like that as a group of items, and so they always drop down into this hopper. There you go, the whole stack went in, that's good to know. So they always drop down like that, and it made me realise that the entire time these items are coming through, they're either despawning because they're not going through our system up to this chest, or they're just kind of sitting there. And I think that they're despawning because it feels like maybe there should be more items coming through. But anyway, the point what I want to do for this is to maybe make some sort of super hopper down here, because in the middle, and it's kind of hard to show without breaking something that might break the whole thing. I think we can break this block here. There we go. You see we've got those 2 mine carts, and actually I need to do a test to find out what item's going to here as well. But basically my thinking is that if we could put these minecart hoppers inside these hoppers, then maybe we'll be able to pick up a lot more items, and that would happen automatically as well, which would be a very good thing, because when I come in here those items are going to despawn unless I come over here and pick them out of the hoppers. And that was really long-winded. I did not expect that to take so long to explain. But the other thing that we were testing were the items going through onto the portals, I've done a much thorough test now, and I can tell you that 1 or 2 items will make their way down into the water streams, but most of them will end up despawning. So the whole sending the items back through to the portals on that side, I have ditched that, and now all we really have to do is put in the ice under the water streams and just play around with the portal on the other side a bit more. So I'm going to do a little bit more testing. I'm going to put in the ice, and hopefully when I come back we will be done with this area for now, because I really want to head over to Hermit Town 1.7, and I've just got a little caught up in this project again. So I did some testing. The super hoppers idea is going to work. I put some minecart hoppers on these rails and they pick up the items on the slabs, which is good. So that means if we stack multiple ones of them on each of these rails, then they're going to be able to pick up a lot of items when I come through from the nether, and hopefully that will stop some of them despawning. But the problem is I just set this all up, and as I laid down these other tracks, they connected to the ones in the middle up there, so you can see, or maybe not see, but there's some just in between those half slabs, and then there's ones down here, and because the half slabs are not full blocks, the rails connect up. So you can see what I've done here is put the rails on either side, and I've put down the ones there and the ones on the other side first, and I put down the ones in the middle at the top. And now when we remove these ones on either side, they shouldn't connect with the ones in the middle, and that should remain true even when we put down the minecart hoppers as well. There you go. So after I've done that, I'm going to extend out the hopper here a little bit, have another item elevator, and this time it's not going to be right in the middle. That was just me being a little bit silly. I think I'll put it in a better location just here on the side, so when you come through from this portal, well, actually you're not really going to walk into this space to go anywhere, but at least it'll be between the two, so it should look pretty good when it's done. So I was really hoping to be out of here by now, and I tell you what, it's not going to be too much longer we're going to be here. I'm going to put the ice underneath the water and then that's it. But at the moment with this item filter up here, I'm running into a little bit of a problem. Now, when I said item filter, you were probably picturing a traditional one, and then I got this idea that actually, what if we can filter out the items as they come up like this? So the rotted flesh goes through, the hopper picks it up, and then it separates it. Now this kind of works at the moment, and what I did first of all was made the mistake of locking this hopper here, which is how traditional ones work. So originally this little comparator sent the signal round to the side, and then it would unlock this one when there were enough items in it. And of course, because it's locked, it can't actually pick any up. You need to have another hopper above it. So what I thought I would do is have it pointing into a hopper that's full of items like this. So none of the items in here are going to go through. Let's just go up top. So these ender pearls will never go through, and then the rotted flesh, as that fills up, it will pass on in front of it. So when it goes through, it then goes into this chest, and that means that that hopper right there isn't locked and it can pick up any item that comes through it. Well, rotted flesh or ender pearls. And at the moment it's kind of working. It seems to pick up every other piece of rotted flesh, and this might be because they come through grouped up, or it might be because of something else that I'm not thinking of. But as of right now, I've kind of had enough. I've spent quite some time working on this, and I really want to move on and get over to Hermit Town. So if any of you have any ideas on maybe how we could get this to work, maybe you want to go into a test world and give it a try yourself. You saw there it picked up that rotted flesh. In fact, the last few times they've come through, I haven't seen it do it. But occasionally two pieces will come through close together and it will pick up one but not the other. But yeah, leave a comment and let me know if you've got any solutions for this, because it's a nice little challenge that we've got right here. Of course, we could do a traditional item sorter, but it's always good to try and do things different. So anyway, we have one more job here to do and then we can leave. So I'm going to go and put ice underneath each of those water streams. Oh, we got ourselves some friends. Don't die, guys, don't die. Now I can't place the blocks. And yes, I'm doing this next to all of the redstone. Luckily, the way water works, it's going to come down to this bit here and then it's going to flow out to the left. So all of this is okay. And just in case you're wondering as well, there are the crushers on the other side of that wall. And I decided that we didn't need ice beyond this point. They would interfere with that. But also, once they get to here, they're going to drop down to the crusher down there, where they end up getting picked up by the hoppers. But it's going to take me a while. This middle bit has been fairly easy, although I've got the other side to do as well, and then I've got all of the other lanes to do. Maybe it will take some time, I don't know. Check this out. We got some pigman surfers here. They're just riding a wave all the way down to the bottom. So guess what? We are done with this place for now. I finished putting in the ice, and of course I died. I was just clearing up some of the netherrack that was left over, and I fell. And I fell all the way down between those two cactus right there, which is quite worrying as I landed. I watched some of the items go into them and obviously get destroyed. Don't know why I'm going down there. but none of my good stuff got destroyed, which is good. So anyway, this thing over here, it does work, and when I came over here, this entire thing was full up. So I reset all of the rotted flesh, and by reset I mean just, you know, take away, and I took them away from the other ones down there. So since then we've got on this much right here, as opposed to whatever's in the chests down below, and we got a guest as well who's visiting. 19 and another 5, so 24. Yes, I can do maths. But we're done with this place now, and the point I was trying to make there is that it is pretty efficient at catching that rotted flesh, but we might have to double it up to make sure that we get all of it. And can you hear that noise? I can't remember if I've commented on that yet, but I put down the minecarts down here, and now they constantly make this racket, which is really annoying. And also this item elevator right here doesn't really work too well, so I'm going to have to rebuild that. But the idea here is that the items come up into the chest and it's flush with the floor, which is cool. But we are done. We are done with the gold farm. It's time to move on. Let's head over to Hermit Town 1.7 at last. So it took us some time, but finally we are here in Hermit Town 1.7. The sun is rising, and I want to warn you straight away that I'm not here to build any form of building or something interesting. We are going to make a cheap and ugly sign just to let people know that I'm after some obsidian. So I was looking through my resources and I decided to grab this hardened clay. We can dye some of it white and some of it black, and we're simply just going to make a massive sign that says obsidian, and then people will see it and they'll go check it out. In fact, it probably doesn't even need to say obsidian. It could say anything and people will be like, what on earth is that? Because it's going to look ugly. Now something awesome has happened here in Hermit Town, and we're about to see it as I move forward here. The chunks over there in the distance should load, and there's a little bit of it. Let's move in a little bit more, and there's the rest of it. Now can you guess what that is from down here? Some of you already know what it is, but it looks awesome, and I've only seen this in video form so far. There was a prank on the server. Zombie Cleo decided to prank Spumwack, and I gotta say, it's such an awesome prank. You'll see more of it as we get closer. That's right, it's a giant sheep. And it looks so derpy, it's awesome. Let's have a look from up on the hill so we get a different perspective on it. That's absolutely insane. Now that I come up here, you kind of understand how big that sheep is. That must have taken... Well, I've watched Zombie Cleo's video, and she did say that she'd been playing for a long time, but really that must have taken a lot of effort. That looks ever so cool. I do love that. And we should go in there and take just a little bit of a closer look at what's been going on. There are loads of sheep that were put inside, and you can see, I think they've made their way outside, like this guy has. I don't see any other sheep around here, but I think Cleo filled up all of this interior area here with sheep, and then the bit above as well, and this is all barred off or something. Okay, so I think Spum's done his cleaning up. There are also sheep all the way up there, and I don't think Spumwack noticed them, so why don't we just pop down and see if we can have a glimpse. And I'm getting distracted by all of this. It's not what we're here for, but look at that. That is just... that is perfect right there. I do like that. Let's see. Now, I think you can't throw an ender pearl from down here, because I remember when me and Spumwack and Biffa recorded together and made that sign at the back, and we had trouble ender pearling up there, and the way that we got up was just from this hill over there. So we throw an ender pearl like that, and perfect. That was weird. And then we hop over here. We should be able to throw it on the back of the sign, and I think, well, I can't hear any sheep. Yeah, I think they've all been removed from up the top here. Let's hop up onto this bit. I'm pretty sure there was some on the ceiling. Maybe I was mistaken. No, this would have been where they are. You can see it was all fenced up. So he's cleaned it up, and while I'm up here, we've got to see it from... Well, see it, stand on it. I'm going to stand on Shaun the Sheep's face. And this view doesn't really do much, does it? There we go. That's awesome right there. Anyway, right, I'm getting really distracted. We need to think about where we're going to put this. I mean, if we build something new, people will see it. This thing might be a little bit distracting, that's for sure. Maybe we could put something on here, like down the side. I've got to be careful here. I don't have a lot of health, and I'm not regenning. I'm going to throw an ender pearl onto the roof of Biffa's bakery so we can have a look around. You see, I could put something on the side of this, because this is grabbing all of the attention at the moment, but I don't really want to hijack it and it wouldn't really make much sense either. So I think the best thing for me to do is just to wander around for a little bit, and probably the closer to the portal over there would be the best place to put it. And since this is actually something where I just want to grab people's attention, do you know what? I don't think it'd be a good idea to build a big sign. I might just build something over at the portal, and then maybe then I could put a little bit more effort into it as well. So we'll go back over there and have a look. You know what? This makes so much more sense. What I want to do is just grab people's attention when they're in the area. They might not head all the way over there, and if I put it in the commercial district, it's only a temporary thing anyway. So I was just thinking about what I could do and where I could do it, and I thought, you know what, there's a little bit of space right here, and it's temporary only, and I'm sure Schism wouldn't mind if I were just to use this little bit of space at the front to build something very small. And I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll get some end stone, and that'll kind of bleed out of this area, and then we'll build a little mini obsidian pillar, and that can go up a little bit, and then in the middle you can walk in and there'll be a chest with a sign and some instructions. Now I don't want to be too intruding. I'll probably leave him a message inside his base as well, just letting him know that it's completely temporary, because I don't really want to step on anyone else's toes. But you can see there's a nice little bit of space here, and I don't think there's really anywhere else too suitable, although I could do it on my own little bit of lawn. That would make much more sense, wouldn't it, because it's my property, and I don't mind ripping some of this out so I can just replace it again later. Yeah, that's a much better idea. So I'm going to go all the way back, deposit this hardened clay. We're going to have to go all the way back through the nether again, and I will come back with some obsidian and end stone, and it won't take me too long to do that at all. What is this? So I'm putting down the end stone, and I'm thinking, do you know what, it'll look really cool if it kind of bleeds out into the path a little bit, just like this. Don't want to overdo it. And what do we find down here? I'm thinking, what's this? It's some sort of secret tunnel. And the first name that popped into my head was Spumwack. Now, just because it goes towards his base, and also because I think he might have mentioned it in a video as well, but assuming that there's going to be something we find up here. Now these are caves on the left and right. I remember working on this area when we were building this. That was actually me and Spumwack doing that together. So I don't think that's going to lead anywhere, which means maybe somewhere through here. There doesn't appear to be a way through, or anything on the other side for that matter. I don't know what to say. This goes up to here. Yep, I remember putting this together because of the redstone. That's the little tunnel, and that seems to be it. So there is a mysterious tunnel underneath the path, and I have no idea who did it. In fact, if any of you know, please leave a comment and let me know, because that is mysterious to say the least. But anyway, I will crack on with this. As you can see, we've got a nice little patch of end stone, and it won't be too long till we're done here. I'm going to build an obsidian tower somewhere around the middle here. So it doesn't look that great at night, but that's probably because there isn't much of a contrast here with the background, and the sun is going down, so we'll see it in a second. But I like how this looks. The end stone kind of bleeds out a little bit, and it definitely grabs your attention. But I felt like the best place to put the entrance was on the other side, just so you get that complete pillar look. And do you know what? I think I might change my mind and put it right here, because you're going to see it from this side over here, so it's not going to ruin the edge, which might make a little bit more sense. If I'm to stand over here, you know, you can see this opening, and I think I will do that. So I'll rearrange all of this stuff right here in a moment. But this is what I put on the signs. It isn't very glamorous. I am buying obsidian, take 1 gold block and replace it with 12 obsidian. I think that's pretty fair, but I might lower it depending on how many customers we're going to get. So what I'm going to do in here is just fill the entire thing with gold blocks like that, and then when someone has 12 obsidian, they can come over here and they can grab one. But of course I'm going to rearrange that now, and I thought the sun was coming up. It should be coming up by now. Okay, it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer. It won't take me long to do this, so we can see what it looks like in the daytime as well. Yep, it looks a lot nicer. Well, as nice as an obsidian pillar can look, it's a lot more clearer to see that there's something there in the daytime, so hopefully this will grab people's attention. And then obsidian for gold, pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? And I think 12 obsidian's going to be good, a fair price. What I find funny about this though is that of course we're getting all of these blocks from the gold farm, so as we're getting more gold we can get more obsidian, and we can lower that price down a little bit maybe, but then it will help expand itself. And at the moment what I want to do is build an extra 2 rows of portals on either side, And then who knows, after that, maybe I'll still be motivated to expand it further, but it is going to be an almighty farm. So we're going to wrap things up here this episode. I just gave myself a little bit of time to think, is there anything that I've forgotten to mention or anything like that? And I've noticed that a few of you have been commenting, asking what's happening with the train station. Don't worry, it's not going to go anywhere. At the moment, I am very inspired with this whole gold farm thing, and I'm really motivated to work on that. So we'll come back to this project after I'm done with that, and we will finish it. Don't worry, it'll just take a little bit of time. And the other thing I wanted to mention as well was the Hermitcraft community on G+. I plugged it before, I want to plug it again. If you're interested in being a part of that, there's always a link in the description box. It's just a place to kind of chat. It's kind of like a forum for Hermit fans and for us Hermits as well to go on there and interact with one another. So if you haven't been there before, be sure to check it out. But that is it for this episode. As always, if you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like. It will always be appreciated. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.